Welcome back to the GH Spoilers channel. Today we dive into a whirlwind of betrayal, revenge, and shocking twists from ABC's General Hospital. Things are heating up, and what happens next will leave Port Charles forever changed. Willow returns, but nothing is as she expected. Willow's return from Germany is anything but peaceful. She traveled there with one hope, to see her estranged husband Michael and settle their ongoing custody battle over their child. But heartbreak greeted her first. When she arrived at the clinic, a nurse coldly turned her away, telling her that Michael didn't want to see her. That simple sentence shattered Willow's expectations. She hadn't gone to Germany to argue, she only wanted to talk, to ask Michael to give up the legal fight and let her raise their child without dragging things further in court. But she never got the chance. He shut the door before she could knock. Wounded and defeated, Willow flew back to Port Charles. But the heartbreak didn't end there. A shocking discovery at home. Nothing could have prepared Willow for what she found when she stepped back into her house. There, in her own bedroom, was Drew, her new partner, naked in bed with a woman she had never seen before. The moment froze. Rage, disbelief, betrayal. Willow felt it all at once. She stood in the doorway, stunned, while the woman calmly gathered her clothes. Her name was Jacinda. Drew, groggy and confused, woke up with no memory of the night before. He claimed ignorance, swore he didn't know how he got there, didn't know who Jacinda was, didn't remember anything. But Willow didn't want excuses. Her trust was broken. She didn't care whether he was drugged or not. What she saw was enough. Jacinda left without saying much. Drew and Willow were left in the wreckage of their relationship, fighting bitterly. Willow demanded the truth. Drew had none to give. Public humiliation goes viral. As if the betrayal wasn't painful enough, the situation exploded into public scandal. Within hours, social media erupted with photos and videos of Drew and Jacinda clearly intoxicated, clearly enjoying themselves at the Savoy nightclub. It was more than just a one-night stand. It was a full public display of drunken chaos, dancing, flirting, kissing, all captured on camera, all spreading like wildfire. Drew was horrified. He insisted that something was off, that this wasn't him, that someone set him up. Willow didn't buy it. She saw the videos. She saw the woman in her bed. She saw enough. In one furious motion, she slapped him, packed her things, and walked out. Suspicions point to Nina. Left in the aftermath, Drew's anger began to boil, not just at himself, but at whoever was behind this mess. It didn't take long for his suspicion to turn toward Nina. She had always been close enough to strike. She had her own motives, a long-standing rivalry with Willow, bitterness over past grievances, and a need for control. Could she have orchestrated this? Drew believed it. He hired a private investigator and ordered a full background check on Jacinda. Who was she? Where did she come from? Why did she end up in his bed, on the exact night he was most vulnerable? Truth unveiled, Nina hired Jacinda. The investigator worked fast. What he uncovered confirmed Drew's worst fear. Jacinda wasn't a random woman. She was an escort, paid for and planted by none other than Nina Reeves. The goal? Humiliate Willow, destroy her peace, ruin her relationship. Nina's fingerprints were all over the plan. She had orchestrated the night, made sure Drew drank too much, made sure Jacinda was there, made sure everything was captured on camera and distributed online. This wasn't a mistake. It was an attack. And Drew wasn't going to take it lying down. Drew crosses a line. What started as rage quickly turned into revenge. Drew's mind spiraled, pushed by humiliation, anger, and betrayal. He decided that justice through legal channels wasn't enough. He wanted something more permanent. Quietly, he reached out to a man from his darker past. A fixer. He paid him with one task: take care of Jacinda permanently. It was a line Drew had never crossed before. But this wasn't just about cheating. This was war. Nina panics. As word reached Nina that Drew knew everything and had already taken steps against Jacinda, panic set in. She knew what Drew was capable of. Underneath his clean-cut image, Drew Kane had done things during his time overseas that made even hardened criminals shiver. Now, with everything he loved burned to the ground, he was unpredictable. Nina feared for her life. She began looking over her shoulder, fearing that Drew might come for her next. The paranoia grew, and rightly so. Drew wasn't speaking to anyone. He was cold, silent, and focused. People around him noticed the shift. Something inside him had snapped. The fallout to come. Meanwhile, Willow, completely unaware of the deeper machinations at play, tried to rebuild her life alone. She focused on her child, on picking up the pieces after being burned by two men: Michael, who shut her out, and Drew, who betrayed her. But Port Charles was already buzzing. Rumors of Nina's involvement were spreading. The scandal had shaken every corner of the town. Carly was furious at what happened to Drew. Sonny was suspicious. Even Ava, who tried to stay neutral, couldn't ignore the ripple effects. And then came the next twist. Jacinda disappears. Just days after the news of Nina's plot broke, Jacinda vanished. Gone without a trace. Her apartment was empty, her phone disconnected. The police were alerted, but there were no leads. Some whispered that she ran to avoid retribution. Others believed she was silenced. Drew refused to comment. But his cold demeanor made many believe he knew exactly what happened. Nina, now under constant guard, went to the police, but she had no evidence of a threat. Just fear. Fear that whatever game she started, it had now spun far beyond her control. A town on edge. Port Charles is no stranger to drama, but this was different. This was personal. This was surgical. Willow had been used as a pawn in a feud she never signed up for. Drew had become a man she didn't recognize. Nina, the mastermind, was now trapped in a corner of her own making. And it's not over. Drew's investigator continues to dig, looking for connections, allies, accomplices. Nina's empire is starting to fracture. Carly is mobilizing. Sonny is watching everything with growing unease. Willow is just trying to protect her child. But no one is safe now. This week's saga on General Hospital isn't just another love triangle. It's a collision of secrets, power plays, and moral lines being erased. With Jacinda missing, Drew unstable, and Nina panicking, the question now isn't whether there will be consequences, but how far they will go. One thing's certain: Port Charles will never be the same. Next, we will dive deep into the swirling drama surrounding Jason Morgan and Carly Spencer in Port Charles, exploring the tangled web of emotions, secrets, and unexpected twists that keep fans on the edge of their seats. Since Jason's dramatic return to the city, speculation about a rekindled romance with Carly has buzzed through the community, especially now that her marriage to Sonny Corinthos has definitively ended. However, despite the electric tension between them, their path to love seems obstructed by a series of intricate conflicts and unspoken truths. Let's unpack the evolving saga of these beloved characters, delving into new facets of their story, and analyze the forces pushing them apart while still holding out hope for a future together. The unresolved chemistry of Jason and Carly. The magnetic pull between Jason Morgan and Carly Spencer has been a cornerstone of General Hospital lore for years, a simmering undercurrent that fans have long hoped would boil over into a full-fledged romance. With Carly now free from the tumultuous bonds of her marriage to Sonny, the stage appeared set for these two soulmates to finally embrace their feelings. Yet, their interactions remain frustratingly tentative, marked by hesitant glances and unspoken words, as if an invisible barrier holds them back. Perhaps the writers are crafting a grander narrative arc, one that necessitates a deeper rift before any satisfying reunion can occur. Their recent pact to refrain from meddling in each other's personal affairs hints at underlying tensions, particularly after Jason voiced his concerns over Carly's budding relationship with the enigmatic WSB chief, Jack Brennan. This agreement, while intended to foster harmony, might instead be the calm before a storm, setting the groundwork for a clash that could challenge the very foundation of their bond. A shocking secret threatens to unravel everything. Just when it seemed that Carly and Jason might navigate their way toward reconciliation, a bombshell revelation involving Sasha Gilmore Corbin has thrown a massive wrench into their dynamic. The news of Sasha's pregnancy has sent shockwaves through Port Charles, and Jason's decision to shield the truth surrounding it has placed him directly in Carly's crosshairs. Carly, known for her fierce protectiveness over her family, senses that something is amiss with the story that Sasha's child belongs to Jason. Unbeknownst to her, the real father is Michael Corinthos, her own son, a secret that if uncovered could ignite a firestorm of betrayal and heartbreak. Imagine the turmoil in Carly's heart when she discovers not only that Jason concealed this critical information but that it involves her own flesh and blood. This deception could shatter the fragile trust she and Jason have painstakingly rebuilt, potentially derailing any hope of a romantic future. The emotional fallout might ripple beyond just their relationship, affecting Carly's bond with Michael and her standing within the tight-knit Corinthos family. Sonny's vulnerability adds a new layer of complexity. As if the brewing conflict with Jason over Sasha's secret wasn't enough to test Carly's resolve, the precarious state of Sonny Corinthos introduces yet another layer of drama to her already complicated life. Sonny, grappling with lingering health issues after a series of alarming scares, finds himself in a rare position of fragility, a stark contrast to his usual commanding presence. Carly, ever the pillar of strength in times of crisis, feels an instinctive pull to stand by his side, offering solace and support during these trying moments. Their shared history, marked by both passionate love and devastating heartbreak, resurfaces in tender exchanges and nostalgic reflections on their past. Could this renewed closeness, born from Sonny's vulnerability, awaken dormant feelings in Carly's heart? Picture late-night conversations at the hospital, where old affections flicker amidst discussions of recovery and redemption, potentially steering Carly back toward a reconciliation with Sonny just as her connection with Jason teeters on the edge. Torn between two loves and a web of lies. The timing of these overlapping crises couldn't be more dramatic, as Carly finds herself caught in an emotional tug-of-war between two significant men in her life. On one hand, her unresolved feelings for Jason are clouded by the betrayal she perceives in his secrecy about Sasha's baby, leaving her questioning whether she can ever fully trust him again. On the other, Sonny's current state of need tugs at her heartstrings, reminding her of the deep bond they once shared and the family they built together. Adding fuel to this already blazing fire is her dalliance with Jack Brennan, whose dangerous charm offers a thrilling escape from the chaos but further complicates her romantic entanglements. Visualize Carly standing at a crossroads, each path laden with its own set of challenges. Reconciling with Sonny could mean sacrificing her chance with Jason, while pursuing Jason might require forgiving a lie that cuts too deep. Meanwhile, Jack represents a wild card, a potential distraction or even a new beginning if she dares to take the leap. The road ahead, messier before it gets better. It's abundantly clear that the journey for Carly and Jason is far from a straightforward fairy tale ending. Their attempts to maintain boundaries in each other's personal lives have only entangled their fates further, weaving a narrative rich with misunderstanding and missed opportunities. Carly's unwavering loyalty to Sonny, her conflicted feelings about Jack, and the seismic revelation of Sasha's pregnancy secret all conspire to delay any blossoming romance with Jason. Yet, amidst this chaos, there lies a glimmer of possibility, a notion that perhaps these very obstacles are necessary to forge a stronger, more enduring bond between them. Envision a future where, having navigated through layers of deception and emotional upheaval, Carly and Jason emerge with a renewed understanding of each other, their love tempered by the trials they've overcome. For now, though, the horizon looks stormy, with a potential Carson reunion threatening to eclipse their story, leaving fans to wonder if this other epic love tale will ever reach its destined culmination. Next, we will unravel the heart-pounding drama surrounding Portia Robinson as she teeters on the brink of personal and professional collapse in Port Charles. The latest developments have thrust Portia into a whirlwind of jealousy, desperation, and moral dilemmas that promise to keep viewers glued to their screens. On April 29, a catastrophic convergence of events unfolded, threatening to shatter her world in ways she never anticipated. From a devastating misunderstanding involving her husband Curtis Ashford to a daring and dangerous plot against Drew Quartermaine, Portia's life is spiraling into chaos. Join us as we dive into the intricate layers of this storyline, exploring new dimensions and potential consequences that could redefine her future forever. A shattering discovery ignites jealousy. The tension in Portia Robinson's life reached a fever pitch on April 29, when she stumbled upon a scene that would break any spouse's heart, her husband, Curtis Ashford, in what appeared to be a deeply personal moment with his ex-wife, Jordan Ashford. The timing couldn't have been worse, as Portia was already grappling with the weight of her own secrets and schemes. Imagine the raw pain coursing through her as she stood frozen, watching the man she loved share an unguarded moment with the woman who has long been a shadow over their marriage. This isn't just a fleeting suspicion, it's a visceral wound to Portia, who has battled insecurities about Jordan's lingering presence in Curtis's life since day one. Social media buzzes with fan predictions, one commenter lamenting, Portia's worst fears are coming true. Curtis might slip right back to Jordan. The heartbreak etched on her face in that moment likely mirrors the cracks forming in her confidence, threatening to unravel the life she's fought so hard to build with Curtis. Could this misunderstanding be the final straw that fractures their bond beyond repair? A dangerous gambit born of desperation. Portia's emotional turmoil is compounded by a menacing threat from Drew Quartermaine, who holds damning evidence of her unethical actions in tampering with Heather Weber's lab results. This secret, if revealed to Curtis or the medical board, could obliterate her career as a respected doctor and demolish her marriage in one fell swoop. Faced with such high stakes, Portia has allied herself with Nina Reeves in a plot so audacious it could only exist in the dramatic world of Port Charles. Their scheme involves drugging Drew and staging a scandalous encounter with a hired sex worker named Jacinda, hoping to capture incriminating photos to use as leverage against him. Picture the dimly lit room, the air thick with tension as Portia watches the plan unfold, her nerves frayed by the ethical line she's crossing. This is no small deception, it's a high-risk maneuver that could backfire spectacularly. Spoilers hint that Willow Tate might stumble upon Drew in this orchestrated setup, potentially siding with him and turning the tables on Portia and Nina. The fallout could be catastrophic, exposing their plot and leaving Portia to face not just personal ruin but legal consequences as well. A perfect storm of crises. What makes this storyline so gripping is the relentless onslaught of challenges battering Portia from every direction on the very same day. The blackmail threat from Drew looms like a dark cloud, casting doubt on her every move, while the sight of Curtis with Jordan pierces her heart with a mix of betrayal and fear. Simultaneously, she's neck-deep in executing a perilous counter-blackmail plan, her judgment clouded by emotional distress. Visualize Portia in her office at General Hospital, hands trembling as she second-guesses every decision, her normally composed demeanor replaced by a frantic urgency to protect her life as she knows it. This is not the steady, rational doctor fans have come to admire. This is a woman pushed to her breaking point, where every choice feels like a gamble with devastating odds. Her role as a caring mother to Trina and a dedicated wife to Curtis feels like a distant memory as desperation takes the wheel. April 29th may very well mark the moment when Portia's carefully constructed world begins to crumble under the weight of her own decisions. Moral decay under pressure. The beauty and tragedy of Portia's arc lie in the dramatic erosion of her moral compass, a transformation that showcases the dark side of soap opera character development. Once a beacon of integrity, a doctor who upheld the sanctity of her profession and a woman who valued honesty, Portia now finds herself in a moral quagmire. Reflect on the Portia of years past, who would have recoiled at the thought of tampering with medical records or resorting to blackmail through deception. Today, she's orchestrating a scheme that could land her behind bars, driven by fear of losing everything she holds dear. Consider the internal conflict she must endure each night, wrestling with the guilt of her actions while justifying them as necessary evils to protect her family. This descent into ethically murky waters raises profound questions about redemption. Can Portia ever reclaim the moral high ground after such transgressions? Will her jealousy over Curtis and Jordan push her to make an irreversible error in her plot against Drew, sealing her fate as a fallen hero in the eyes of those she loves? The inevitable fallout and unanswered questions. As the dust settles on April 29th, the upcoming episodes of General Hospital promise to deliver some of the most explosive confrontations Port Charles has witnessed in recent memory. The looming revelation of Portia's secrets, both the lab tampering and the blackmail scheme, hangs like a guillotine over her future. Envision Curtis's reaction when the truth spills out, his face a mixture of shock and disappointment as he grapples with whether to stand by his wife or turn away from the wreckage of her choices. Will this crisis drive him back into the comforting familiarity of Jordan's embrace, fulfilling Portia's deepest fears? Moreover, how will Trina, her daughter, process the betrayal of trust if her mother's actions come to light, potentially fracturing their close-knit bond? The stakes couldn't be higher as Portia's world teeters on the edge of collapse. One certainty remains: the drama in Port Charles is set to ignite with revelations and recriminations, ensuring that fans won't want to miss a single moment of this unfolding catastrophe.